Welcome to the Friday night, the last of the Friday night Bible studies for 2 months, as we always take a break during the summer. So, welcome to the Friday night Bible study of the Spirit of Prophecy Church. And so, I'm going to start with prayer and let the other folks jump on here. Okay, so, Lord, you said that wherever two or more are gathered in your name, there you are in the midst of them. So, we gather in the name of Jesus. Wisdom and might are yours. You change the times and seasons. You removeth kings and setteth up kings. You giveth wisdom to the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. You revealeth the deep and secret things. You knoweth what is in the darkness. The light dwelleth with you. So, Lord, we ask you to show us the deep and secret things. Both me, the people watching live, and those by recording. Open our hearts and our minds to be able to hear and to receive your word and to understand it, to know what you were saying to the people of those days, the people throughout all time, and obviously also us ourselves. Help us to remember it, that we will not sin against you, that we will all hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of the Lord, in Jesus' name. Okay, so we're going to start. I should have already had this queued up. And I didn't. Okay, right there. And I need a click. Make it click. I need to remove this. There we go. Should have already done that. Okay, let's see. Now, which one of these do we want? We're going to start at Genesis 37. I think this one. Yeah, that's the better one. Okay. So we're going to read about Joseph and about how God used him to not only save his whole family, but really all of the Jews, and also to take care of them through the 7 years of famine. Now, the point being is we're about to go through 7 years of tribulation. Some people think it may even start this year. Others think, we got till maybe another 10 or 15 years. I don't know, but whenever it is, I want to be ready. So we're going to study about it tonight. All right, so here we go. And Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock of his brethren. I want to make sure I am where I thought I was supposed to be. Yes, it's correct. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all of his children. Hang on, I jumped too far here. There we go. Okay. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all of his children because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak to him peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And I wonder if that's where some of our lingo came from. Like we will say, and yes, all the more. Okay. That probably is lingo our ancestors got from reading the Bible. Hated him yet all the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. Now, here's the question. Why did God give Joseph this dream? I'm going to say, yes, he wanted to tell Joseph what was coming. Yes, he wanted to encourage him because this dream would not be fulfilled until much later in his life. But I think it was also that it was making his brothers hate him so that they would do to him what God had planned to be done to him, which was bad stuff. But what the devil intended for evil, God intended for good. That's a good thing. So behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said unto him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? And the answer is yes. It'll be many years, but yes, it's a prophecy of what's coming. Also, I think he was getting Joseph ready because he was going to use Joseph in the area of interpreting prophecies. And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. In other words, just better pay attention here. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said unto him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed the flocks. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let's go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit. And we will say some evil beast had devoured him, and he shall see what shall become of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, Let us not kill him. Now, remember this. See, a lot of the blessings that are going to come to these children had to do with their attitude toward Joseph. And Reuben is blessed because he didn't want to kill him. And Reuben said unto them, Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness. Lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him of their hands, to deliver him to the father again. And it came to pass, when Joseph was coming to his brethren, that that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into the pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it, and they sat down to eat bread. And they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels, bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. They're going to sell their wares. And Judah said unto his brethren, What profit it is if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not their hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they bought Joseph and brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned into the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. And he returned unto his brethren, and said, The child is not, and whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat, and killed a kid of coats, and dipped it in the coat of the blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said, This have we found. No, not whether it be thy son's coat or no. And he knew it, and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent his clothes. And Jacob rent his clothes, and put sackcloth on his loins, and mourned for his son many days. And all the sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, For I will go down into the grave, and my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt, and to Potiphar, an officer of the Pharaohs, and a captain of the guard. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren, and turned into a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hirah. And Joseph saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shulah. And he took her and went into her, and she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name So the word seems to say that I guess a man could just sort of like take whatever woman he found wandering around and conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she had again conceived and bare a son and called his name Shelah. And he was at Kezib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife of for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. Let me read that again. A lot of people think, oh, well, God doesn't do anything bad. That's not true. He's the righteous judge. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And that's not the end of what God does. And Judah said to Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went into his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Wow. Okay, so what started off to be not a righteous marriage, 2 of the 4 children already have been slain by the Lord. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow. Now, this is important. I'll read this a second time. So then Judah to Tamar, his daughter, said to Tamar, let me try it again. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law. Okay, so Tamar is Judah's daughter-in-law. Remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah my son be grown, for he said, lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted, and went up unto his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira, the Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put up her widow's garments from off her. She covered her face with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in the open place, which is by the way of Timnath. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. Okay, now let me explain what's going on. Okay, so Judah was supposed to have given this, what was the name again? Okay, so Judah was supposed to given, correct me if I'm wrong here, was supposed to have given Shua to wife, but he didn't want to. And then, so when he went into her, he spilled the seed on the ground, and he got killed. So then Tamar was supposed to be given this, not Judah, what was the name? It's supposed to be given one of them the name. And the point is, she didn't get what she was promised, so she did this deception. All right, let's go to the deception. Okay, we read that. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, well, you're not going to marry, you're going to remain a widow. But she didn't remain a widow. Now, in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up into his sheep shearers in Timnath. I read that. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put off her widow's garments, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath, for she saw that Shelah, that's the guy she was supposed to be married to, I guess, if I understand this right. Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. Then Judah saw her. He thought her to be a harlot because she had covered her face. Okay, so this is the one that Judah was supposed to take in. It didn't, if I get the story straight here. And he turned unto her by the way and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee, for he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, what wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come into me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? He said, or she said, thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is on thine hand. And he gave it her and came into her, and she conceived by him. Okay, so what just happened? She got the guy she wanted, but by feigning herself as a harlot. And she arose and went away and laid by her veil from her, and put on garments of widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend to the Adulamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand. But he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, where's the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, there was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, well, let her take it to her, lest we be ashamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot, and also, behold, she was a child by whoredom. And Judah said, bring her forth, and let her be burnt. Uh-oh. He's the guy that laid with her. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man, whose these are, am I with child? And she said again, discern, I pray thee, whose are these? The signet, and the bracelets, and the staff. See, Tamar knew whose they were. And Judah acknowledged them and said, she hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son. And he knew her again no more. And it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. Now, there's a big story coming here. And it came to pass when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, this came out first. Why do they want to know which one came out first? Because that is the one that gets the double blessing. That's the head of the household. And it came to pass that as he drew back his hand, that, behold, his brother came out. And she said, how hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, and the Egyptian brought him by the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he went into the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house. Okay, so this is captain of the guard. Joseph is number one to the captain of the guard. That's pretty important. And all that he had put his hand to, but God had a plan. And it came to pass from that time he had made him overseer in his house over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph. And she said, lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master has not what is with me in this house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Now, the point being there, he was not just loyal to his boss, but the most important thing is he was loyal to God. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie with her or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business. And there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, Then she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, See, he has brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried a loud voice. And it came to pass that when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. She laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant, which thou hast brought unto us, came unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, now again, all of this is God's doing. Came to pass, when the master heard the words of his wife, when she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. And he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph. See there? Okay. This is God's plan. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. So even in prison, he's blessed. That might be a word of encouragement to us tribulation saints. We're about to be tribulation saints. And the keeper of the prison committed Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. And so whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. And the keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. And it came to pass after these things, that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers, and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in the ward. And they dreamed a dream. Both of them dreamed a dream, different dreams. Both of them, each man had his dream in one night. Each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. And Joseph came into them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sad today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto him, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said unto him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me. And of the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth. And the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner when thou wast his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this prison house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. And in the uppermost basket there was all manner of basket of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants, and restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forget him. Did he forget him accidentally? No, it's all the plan of God. And it came to pass that at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine, or cows, and fat-fleshed, and they fed in the meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored, lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. My voice is already starting to give out today. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke. And he slept and dreamed the second time. And behold, 7 ears of corn came upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled. And he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt, and all of the wise men thereof, and Pharaoh told them his dream. But there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, and we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream he did interpret. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. And then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph. And they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. He shaved himself and changed his raiment, and came into Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I've dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I've heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. That's very good, Joseph. You didn't take any credit for it. It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, In my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river. And behold, there came out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in the meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. And the lean and the ill-favored kine did eat up the first 7 fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored. As at the beginning, so I awoke. And I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered, thin and blasted, out of the east wind, sprang up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears, and it was told us unto the magicians that there was none that could declare it to me. And Joseph said unto the Pharaoh, The dream of the Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh, what God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there comes 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall rise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in it, the land, and the plenty shall not be known in it in the land by reason of the famine following it, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. and let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under that. By the way, the word corn here is actually wheat. They called everything corn in those days. Lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be upon the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Forasmuch as God has showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according to thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And the Pharaoh said to Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. Now, hang on. Okay. What's going on? He kills, he makes alive. He wounds, he heals. Neither can any deliver out of his hand. What he's about to do is bring 7 years of plenty, give all of the area food, sent by 7 years of famine. And the famine gets so bad, as you'll see, that people first bring all of their money, all of their cattle, all of their varmints that they've got, and to buy grain, to buy wheat. When that runs out, they finally should present themselves to Pharaoh and say, We have nothing else to give you. You have all of our gold or silver, all of our land. You have everything. The only thing we can do is just present our bodies to you and say, if you don't feed us, we're going to die. And so that's when Egypt was made the greatest land, the greatest nation in that whole area, because Egypt was the only one that had any gold or silver, in this case, wheat. So by everybody else not having any and him having some, God raised him up to be that whole area, Egypt, to be the number one nation in the area. Why? To take care of Joseph and his brothers, his dad, his mom, to take care of all of the people that would become the Jews for 400 years. So God rearranged to make that wealth come in to bless the Jews. That's where it's going. And Pharaoh took off his ring, his hand put upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck, and made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, Bow the knee. And he made him rule over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. In other words, he's boss, second only to the Pharaoh. Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephanath-Phaneah, I guess. I wish I knew what that meant. And gave him to wife Asenath. Now, that's the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. I don't know, but my guess is that Asenath was one beautiful babe, because Joseph had his pick of all of them. So she was probably really beautiful. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went through all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up the food out of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities, and the food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much, until it left numbering it, for it was without number. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons. Now, this is important too. They will tie in with oil in Israel in the future. But we're not talking about that tonight. Won't talk about that until the time's right, which is still yet in the future. 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, He hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second was called Ephraim, for God has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. And the 7 years of plenteousness was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. When all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph. What he saith to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all the countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn or wheat, because that the famine was so sore in all the land. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do you look upon one another? In other words, what are you doing standing around? Okay. He said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, Lest peradventure mischief befall him. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brother came and bowed themselves. Joseph's brethren came, all of his brothers came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the earth. That was the fulfillment of the dream right there. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not. And Joseph remembered the dreams which were dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies, to seek the nakedness, to see the nakedness of the land you are come. And they said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's sons. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye come. And they said, Thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan, and behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not, him. And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies, whereby you shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh, you shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and you shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely ye are spies. And he put them all together in ward 3 days. And Joseph said unto them the 3rd day, This do, and live, for I fear God. If you be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go you, carry corn for the famine of your houses, but bring your youngest brother unto me. So shall your words be verified, and you shall not die. And they did so. Now, Joseph just wanted to see his younger brother. Okay, he hadn't seen this one yet. And they said one to another, We are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. So this is years later, and his brothers are feeling the guilt for treating Joseph this way. They don't know Joseph is the one that's doing this. See why we love the Bible? I mean, it's such great stories. And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you? In other words, didn't I tell you? Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child? And you would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. And he turned himself about from them, and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes. Then Joseph commanded that to fill their sacks with corn, and to restore every man's money into his sack, and to give them provision for the way, and thus he did for them. They laded their asses with the corn, and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give an ass provender in the inn, he espied his money, for behold, it was in the sack's mouth. And he said unto the brethren, my money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart fainted. Their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, what is this that God hath done to us? And they came unto Jacob, their father, into the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell them, saying, the man who is the Lord of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. We said to them, we are true men, we are no spies. We be 12 men, sons of our father. One is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, whereby shall I know that you are true men? Leave one of your brethren here with me. Take food for the famine for your households, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother unto me, then I shall know that ye are no spies, but that you are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and you shall traffic in the land. And it came to pass that as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when they both and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob their father said unto them, me have ye bereaved of my children? Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and ye will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, slay my two sons, if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. And he said, my son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in which you go, then shall you bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. Now, I did not read this part, but see, Rachel was the one that Joseph really loved. And when he woke up the next morning after the marriage ceremony, apparently the lights were turned off. What was in his bed was not Rachel that he had worked 7 years for, but it was Leah, Leah's older sister. He didn't want Leah, he wanted Rachel. So probably Rachel was beautiful and Leah was maybe homely, something like that. We don't know. God didn't say that. But so Joseph was of Rachel's birth. And now the youngest man, Benjamin, well, not only was he of Rachel's birth, but Rachel died in childbirth. So Benjamin was very valuable in the eyes of Jacob, in the father. And he didn't want to let the other one go because Joseph, in his eyes, was already dead. And so he didn't want to lose both of Rachel's sons. So that's what made it more valuable. My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in which you go, then shall you bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. And the famine was sore in the land. And it came to pass that when he had eaten up the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said unto him, go again, buy us a little food. Now, we do not know how long that wheat lasted. My guess is it was at least 3, probably 6, and maybe even 9 months. And it might have even lasted a year. Meanwhile, their brother Simeon is in jail in Egypt. And it came to pass, when they had eaten up the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said, go again, buy us a little food. And Judah spake unto them, saying, the man did solemnly protest to us, saying, ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. If thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy thee food. But if thou wilt not send him, we will not go down. For the man said unto us, ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And Israel said, wherefore dealt ye so ill with me, as to tell the man whether he had yet a brother? And they said, the man asked us straightly of our state and of our kindred, saying, is your father yet alive? Have ye another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words. Could we certainly know that he would say, bring us your brother down? And Judah said unto Israel his father, send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and thou, and also our little ones. I will be surety for him. Of my hand shalt thou require him. If I bring him not unto thee, and set him before thee, then let me bear the blame forever. For except we be lingered, surely now we had returned this second time. And our father Israel said unto them, If it must be so now, do this. Take the best of the fruits of the land of your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm, a little honey, spices, myrrh, nuts, and almonds. Checking the time to see how we're doing here. Okay. And take double money in your hand, and the money that was brought again into the mouth of your sacks, carry it again into your hand. Peradventure, it was an oversight. Take also your brother, and arise, go again unto the man. And God Almighty shall give you mercy before the man, that he may send away your other brother and Benjamin. If I be bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. And the man took that present, and they took double money in their hand and Benjamin, and rose up and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said unto the ruler of his house, Bring these men home and slay and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon. And the man did as Joseph bade, and they brought the man unto Joseph's house. And the men were afraid, because they were sought unto Joseph's house. And they said, Because of the money that was returned into our sacks at the first time are we brought in, that he may seek occasion against us, and fall upon us, and take us for bondmen and our asses. And they came near to the steward of the Joseph's house, and they communed with him at the door of the house, and said, O sir, we came indeed down at the first time to buy food. And it came to pass, when we came to the end, that we opened our sacks, and behold, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack. And our money was in full weight, and we have brought it again into our hand. And the other money have we brought down in our hands to buy food. We cannot tell who put our money in our sacks. And he said, Peace be unto you. Fear not. Your God and the God of your father had given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money, and he brought you Simeon out unto them. And the man brought the man into the Joseph's house, and gave them water, and washed their feet, and he gave their asses provender. And they made ready the present against Joseph came at noon, for they had heard that they should eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand in the house, and bowed themselves to him in the earth. And he asked them of their welfare, and said, Is your father well? The old man of whom he spake, is he yet alive? And they answered, Thy servant our father is in good health. He is yet alive. And they bowed their heads and made obeisance. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother, of whom you spake unto me? And he said, God be gracious unto thee, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother. And he sought where to weep, and he entered into the chamber and wept there. In other words, he missed them so much. And be able to see Benjamin, the youngest of his mother that was now dead, it was too much. He couldn't hold back the tears. And he washed his face and went out and refrained himself and said, Set on bread. And they set on him by himself, and for themselves, and for the Egyptians, which did eat with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth, and the men marveled one at another. And he took and sent messes unto them before him, but Benjamin's mess was 5 times so much as any of theirs. And they drank and were merry with him. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put every man's money back in the sack's mouth. And put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest, and his corn money. And he did according to the word which Joseph had spoken. And as soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their asses. And when they were gone out of the city, and not far off, Joseph said unto his steward, Up, follow after the men. When thou dost overtake them, say unto them, Wherefore have ye rewarded evil for good? Is not this in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby indeed he divineth? Have ye not done evil in so doing? And he overtook them, and he spake unto them these same words. And they said unto him, Wherefore saith my Lord these words? God forbid that thy servant should do according to this thing. Behold, the money which we found in our sacks we brought again unto thee, and out of the land of Canaan. How then we should steal out of the Lord's house silver and gold, with whomsoever thy servants it be found. Both let him die, and we also be my Lord's bondmen. And he said, Now also let it be according to our words. He with whom it is found shall be my servant, and ye shall be blameless. Then they speedily took down every man his sack to the ground, and opened every man his sack. And he searched and began at the eldest and left to the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. And they rent their clothes and laid it every man at their ass, returned to the city. And Judah and his brethren came to Joseph's house, for he was yet there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said unto them, What deed is this that thou have done? Wot ye not that such a man as I can certainly divine? And Judah said, What shall we say unto my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God hath found out the iniquity of our servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he also of whom the cup is found. And he said, God forbid that I should do so, but the man in whose hand the cup is found, he shall be my servant. And as for you, get you up in peace unto your father. Then Judah came near unto him and said, O my Lord, let thy servant, I pray thee, speak a word in my Lord's ears, and let not that anger burn against thy servant, for thou art even as Pharaoh. And my Lord asked his servants, saying, Have ye a father or a brother? And we said unto my Lord, We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one, and his brother is dead. And he alone is left of his mother, and his father loveth him. And thou saidst unto the servants, Bring him down unto me, that I might set my eyes upon him. And we said unto the Lord, The lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. And thou saidst unto thy servants, Except your youngest brother come down with you, you shall see my face no more. And it came to pass, when he had come up unto the servant my father, we told him the words of my Lord. And our father said, Go again, buy us a little food. We said, We cannot go down if our younger brother be with us. Then we will go down, for we may not see the man's face, except our youngest brother be with us. And thy servant, my father, said unto us, Ye know that my wife bare me 2 sons. And the one went out from me and said, Surely he is torn in pieces, and I saw him not since. And if ye take this also from me, and mischief befall him, ye should bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. Now therefore, when I come to thy servant my father, and the lad be not with us, seeing that his life is bound up in his lad's life, it shall come to pass, when he seeth that the lad is not with us, that he will die. And thy servant shall bring down the gray hairs of thy servant thy father with no sorrow to the grave. For thy servant became surety for the lad unto my father, saying, If I bring him not unto thee, then I shall bear the blame to my father forever. Now therefore, I pray thee, let thy servant abide instead of the land a bondman, instead of the lad a bondman to my Lord. And let the lad go up with his brethren. For how shall I go up to my father, and the lad be not with me, lest peradventure I see the evil that shall come upon my father? Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, Cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known to his brethren. Now, we do not know what I'm about to say, but it's probably a pretty good guess. So how did he make himself known to his brethren? Yes, he probably said, I'm Joseph. I'm the one you threw into a pit. I'm the one that you sold to the Ishmaelites. But it might also be that he showed them that he was circumcised. Because in those days, those were the only ones that circumcised themselves. Because my understanding is that it's a very painful procedure unless it's done on the 8th day of the baby. And it's also very risky in terms of health and infections and things like that, which I understand is why it's done on the 8th day, because a baby on the 8th day is when it has the immune strongest, so says a doctor, I heard. So he made himself known, And it might have been he showed them that he was circumcised. That might have been because that's the big promise. That's a covenant. He was saying, I'm with you. I'm with covenant. Okay. That's a very, very big deal. Made himself known to his brethren, and he wept aloud, and the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I'm Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I'm Joseph your brother, whom ye sold unto Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved nor angry with yourselves that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. That's the whole point. God sent Joseph before to preserve life. Now, what are we about to be tribulation saints worried? Why should we be worried? Should we not know that God is going to provide for us? He's going to be there. And if the worst come, he's still going to be there. Everything is going to be okay. And all the way through the Bible, story after story, after you'd think we'd get it. He's going to take care of us. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there are neither earing or harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you as posterity to the earth, and to save your lives by great deliverance. All of this was to bless the children of Israel. So now it was not of you that sent me hither by God, but God, and he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste you, and go up to my father, and say to him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not, and thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine. You ain't getting out of this. 5 more bad years. Lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come to poverty. And behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you. And you shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that he hath seen, and you shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept. And Benjamin wept upon his neck. And moreover, he kissed all of his brethren and wept upon them. And after that his brethren talked with him. And the fame thereof was heard through Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come. And it pleased Pharaoh well and his servants. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Say unto thy brethren, This do ye, lade your beasts, and go, get you into the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households, and come to me. Here it is. I will give you the good of the land of Egypt. I will give you the good of the land of Egypt. What a blessing. And ye shall eat the fat of the land. Now thou art commanded, this do ye. Take you wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones, for your wives, and bring your father and come. Also regard not your stuff. And I think that's important because someone in a time of great famine would think to pack up every little thing. Probably in those days, everybody was pack rats. I'm a bit of a pack rat myself. Matter of fact, I'm a bit of a tightwad. Okay, like for example, when the shampoo bottle doesn't empty out anymore, I put water in it, shake it up, and get another shampoo or two out of it. I'm just a tightwad. Okay, they probably were. So this is the number 2 in Egypt telling them to tell his father, don't bring a bunch of garbage here. We're going to take care of you. Just bring the bare minimums, just the things you need, and come on. That's what he was saying. Also regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Egypt is yours. And the children of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provision for the way. To all of them gave each man changes of raiment, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. And to his father he sent after his manner 10 asses laden with good things of Egypt, and 10 she asses laden with corn and bread and meat for his father by the way. So he sent his brethren away, and they departed. And he said unto them, see that ye fall not out by the way. And they went out of Egypt, and they came into the land of Canaan unto Jacob their father, and told him, saying, Joseph is alive, and he is the governor over all the land of Egypt. And Jacob's heart fainted, for he believed them not. That's a big statement, okay? And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. When he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob their father revived. And Israel said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die. And I think I'll end there. And a couple of things I want to say here. So we have about 32 people, and there's a lot fewer comments over here. There's a lot fewer people watching, and this is proof. We come into summertime, and it's time for a break. We've been doing Bible studies, so about 1989, I think is when we started our first Bible study. Told you this story, so I won't go into that again. But if you want to keep a Bible study going, you got to have a break once in a while, or it just dwindles down to nothing. I can't tell you why. It shouldn't be that way, but it is that way. So let me close with this. We will start up again. Okay, so we're going into June, July. We'll start up the 1st of August, I believe it is. And I want to pray a big blessing for you. Also, I don't know what it is. If I say that I'm in the red or near the red, then we get some help. But other than that, it seemed to just get very few donations. So if you appreciate the Bible study, especially during the summertime is the worst time every year. I remember the first time it happened, I thought, man, what happened? Our mailbox filled up with concrete. We got no donations coming in. What happened? That was the first year. It's when I discovered that during the summertime, people don't give to the ministries they support because they're saving up money or they're spending it on going on their summer vacation. So hopefully, God, if God has blessed you and you can help us, now would be a very good time because we are needing it. We're not near the red, but if something doesn't happen, probably by this time, we will be in the red again, about a week. It's about kind of where we are. Anyway, so if God has blessed you, you can help us. I would really appreciate it. And that also goes through the summer because summer's always the toughest time. Always. It's worse than Christmas, and around Christmas is pretty bad too. Anyway, so let me pray for you. Let me also say, back behind me here, if you don't have those books, you really want to get the books, especially with what we're covering. I would say probably most important would be The Secret Door, because that puts all of the prophecies in the correct chronological order. Number 2, most important would probably be Pentecost, Rapture of the Bride, and then probably Miss the Mark, Daniel. We covered Daniel. So best thing is to get all 40 of them. Get each one of them, 40 of them for $100. Anyway, so let's close out with a prayer. Lord, thank you. Thank you so much for your word. Thank you that you are the one and only awesome God, and that you've opened our eyes and helped us to see and to find you, that you put our name in the book of life before the foundation of the world, and you've called us out of the world. And Lord, we ask now that you would be the lamp unto our feet, light unto our path. And as you guided Joseph to bless the entire nation of Israel, or the Joseph for Israel, as you blessed and took care of them, we also ask, and know you will, take care of us too, just like Prophecy Club, the Spirit of Prophecy Church will take care of them too. And Lord, I ask a blessing for these people, that you would make them not just readers and studiers of the Bible, but you would make them teachers and preachers of the Bible, and not just worrying about their own salvation, but put in their heart a burden for the souls around them, that they too will be one that's pushing people to you to build your kingdom. That one day it would be said of us that we are building an army of end time prophecy teachers working sevenfold miracles to build your kingdom. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so with that, adios for the summer. See it net back probably the first week in August, probably, I think.